Today we want to talk about one of the holy grails of data teams, and this is actionable data. And what is so great about actionable data? So data teams sometimes really spend a lot of time working on setups, working on tracking, working on modeling, and so on. And so a lot of work is happening which is not really visible for other teams within a company. And so everyone is speaking of actionable data. So because in the end, actionable data is like when data in the end ends up in the hands of a team, maybe a marketing team, and it helps them to improve their campaigns. Or it ends up in a sales team and it improves to the right opportunities and to call the right people and so on. And actionable data moment is basically the moment when a non-data team then realize, wow, the data team really got us a really, really great piece of information here that helps us to make our job better. And this is kind of the definition of actionable data. But actionable data is really hard to produce. And today we look into something that makes it today a little bit easier to create actionable data, which is called Reverse ETL or Operational Analytics. Stay tuned. All right, let's get into it. So we have two terms. One is Reverse ETL and the other one is Operational Analytics. And you will see this in posts about, let's say, Reverse ETL or Operational Analytics. You will see both terms appearing. And there's not really an industry standard yet. And so what's the reason that we have two terms? I don't know. So might be some historical reasons, might be some different people who coined different kind of terms. So I would say Reverse ETL is definitely more the technical term. And I think it's there because it helps us people who are in data engineering or in analytics engineering. For us, it makes it easy to understand because like when we look into a typical data stack, so we have some kind of data warehouse in the middle that we all know, and then we have a process, and everyone knows this, who is in this area, which is then called ETL, or like this, or to put it like today, ELT. So ETL stands for extract, transform, load, and today we do more extract, load, and transform because we basically load all the data into the data warehouse and then we start to transform it there. So what ETL does is basically like it connects to different kind of data sources. And so and these data sources can be multiple things. So this can be let's pick a different color. So this can be a CRM. This can be, I don't know, could be even like, can be your, I don't know, production database. So it can be a customer service tool. So CS service, no, that doesn't make sense. So CS, customer service, anything. So basically like I think the amount of sources where we pull data grows every day. So because we start to use different kind of services, we have more processes that we can then, or more architecture where we can hook in and generate some kind of data. So basically, so for example, you have a microservice infrastructure. So each microservice can be a producer of different kind of events that you could hook in. And then with ETL, ELT, or with streaming, but we ignore streaming for now, it lands in the data warehouse. And now comes Reverse ETL. And Reverse ETL basically says, okay, so in the data warehouse, there we put some models, some business logic, and so on. We put on the data, so we enrich the data. It's basically like what we spend most of our time is basically data enrichment process, and we enrich the data because we want to present it in a form that it's actionable. So coming back to actionable, so that we can then use this data to what should we do with that? And so in the past, what we did a lot is like, so every data project ends with a dashboard. And so, we produce a dashboard. So this was, I would say, over 10 years, the usual approach. So we spent a lot of time in our rooms, and we developed this great data models. And in the end, we produce a dashboard, and everyone is happy and can click around and filter. So dashboards are cool and nice, and so they have their reasons, but they're definitely not a solution to everything. And I think this is like this is something that gets more and more clearer, and we see more and more alternatives what we can do in these new infrastructures, because now it becomes a lot easier to build different stuff on top of a data warehouse. So in the past, it was more bounded, it was more connected to each other, so like the dashboard was kind of a logical thing to end up, and then today it's breaking more apart, and so you have more connectivity that you can use within, for example, a data warehouse. And so you can start to think about different things that you can build on top of a data warehouse. And one thing, now we come to the point, is reverse ETL. So, and what is reverse ETL in that case? It's basically the same like we did here with ETL, but we just send the data back. And so we take the data sources that we have in the beginning of the journey, and so we put it at the end. And so we basically create a loop between everything. And so you can use reverse ETL to basically take data that has been enriched and then sync it back to your data sources. So with an example, so for example, it could be like that, that you have, let's say, so you have a sales team. So you have a sales team, and so the sales team is a great sales team. So they perform pretty cool. And in the past, what you always did was like, so you created sales dashboards for them, and they kind of liked it, but you always had the experience that, yeah, so it's not really efficient. So it looks a little bit like you create this dashboard. Sometimes they look on it, but usually just like for monthly reporting and so on. So, but you don't really see that your data is changing their daily business. And so because the sales team basically, and so this is an example, it can be anything. So the sales team essentially, let's take an example, lives in HubSpot. So they do all their sales activity in HubSpot. So all their data is there. They plan their activities there. They see their opportunities pipeline and so on. So this is the place. So the sales team comes. So it's a very simplistic view, but sales team comes in the morning, logs into HubSpot, and then I don't know, is writing emails, is making calls, is maybe creating some offers, some quotes, and so on. But the major job, of course, is like to close new customers for your product. And that's their job. And so, of course, it's understandable that they don't spend time in a dashboard, because this is transfer thing. So it's not like that they look on a dashboard and immediately say, oh yeah, this helps me with this opportunity. So they have to do a transfer there, and this is hard work. So we should not underestimate it. That it's hard work to transfer knowledge from here to there. And so here comes now with reverse ETL, we now have the chance to make this easier. So what we can do is like, so we basically then also, of course, have our data warehouse. And so within the data warehouse, of course, we can have the HubSpot data there. So we can pull the HubSpot data into the data warehouse, and then we can create maybe just a simple scoring. So of course, like we don't want to introduce something really complex that takes us months, so we want to have a quick result. So we develop a simple scoring model that is based on basically let's say, I don't know, website interactions. What kind of content the people are looking into? Do they download a white paper? Do they look on the pricing page and so on? So we can say, okay, we have these, let's say, 6 different actions, and we give them a score, and based on the score, a score has been calculated. And this score is a good indicator for the sales team if they should follow or to make a decision with which opportunity they should follow up. And so to prioritize the right calls in the right time. And so what we can do is like with reverse ETL is like, So we have now the reverse ETL process, because in the past, the usual reverse ETL, in the past, the usual process was like the data team would then maybe create this model and then create a custom script. So this was basically reverse ETL 2 years ago. Was basically, nope, not this one. Was basically custom script. So someone sit down, look into the API from HubSpot, and then creates some kind of query, then takes the data from the query, and then push it back to HubSpot. And the usual thing that happens with these custom script was like, they were built with a lot of enthusiasm. So everyone's like, oh yeah, cool, now we can get the scoring back. And so someone sits down, maybe for, I don't know, 1 or 2 weeks. Then the script is ready, then it works and so on. But then, I mean, it's an internal thing. So you usually don't have the resources to work on this all the time. And then it basically is there. And so sometimes it works pretty solid, but often this thing then fails and it does not get any kind of improvement, because basically like it's not a focus thing. And so this was the problem with these custom scripts. So they could solve the thing a little bit, but not really on a long term. And the cool thing now with reverse ETL is basically like now you really have a managed service. So they take care. So there are services like, and so just let me give you 2 examples. So there is Census and there is High Touch. So these are, let's say, the most present reverse ETL services, and both basically, I mean, it's their daily job to make sure that syncing from the data warehouse back to HubSpot, that this works as like a charm. So they take care of that the APIs are covered, so if APIs changes happen, so they take care of it. They help you with the mapping, so they help you with the whole, let's say, infrastructure testing, and so that you get some monitoring, some logging, and so on. So if stuff does not work out, so that you get aware and that you can figure out, okay, what has happened and so on. So, I mean, yes, they basically do the maintenance job for you. And so this enables really cool use cases, because now what we can do is like, we just have to create the model in the data warehouse where we say, okay, this is the scoring model. So we have a table where the scoring model is, and then we hook up this table with our reverse ETL tool, and then we set up a synchronization to HubSpot. And so we say, okay, there is now a new custom field in HubSpot, which is called activity score. And we say, okay, this value from this client, so we match it up with the HubSpot ID, and this should be pushed into HubSpot. And then we schedule this, that it should happen, I don't know, 4 times a day, and done. So it usually takes 1 or 2 hours. And I can tell you, if you build this stuff and show this to your sales team, the reaction will be 100% different than if you just presented sales dashboard. Because what people really love, and this is what I saw, is like when the data and the data insights appear in their tools. Because it's really great. So you have to see this from a product perspective. They don't have to learn a new tool. They get it directly where they work, so directly in the context. So it's creating an additional context. So it's combining what they already have, like the opportunity information, and it's adding an additional information. And it's just there. So they don't have to do this. So they don't have to go into a dashboard and then see, oh, look, this user ID did this kind of events. I mean, this takes really a lot of time. It's not scalable. And so this is really great. And this is great now for data teams, that we can create something that immediately delivers a value that everyone understands. And this is what I really love about, let's now take the second term, operational analytics. And so this is like, you will see this as operational analytics as well. And I think this is more like a marketing term, but in the end, it also like describes this whole process. So in the end, you make analytics operational. And so you apply it directly to the place where people work. And I think one thing that we sometimes don't understand in data is like, the other people don't care about the stuff that we found so interesting and so cool, because their job is to run marketing campaigns. Their job is to convert sales. Their job is to hire people and so on. So of course they want to have data, but they don't want to walk this long to get to the data. And I can still remember people telling, oh, everyone should learn SQL. I mean, yes, of course, they might learn SQL, but in the end, it doesn't make sense. Why should someone in sales learn SQL? I mean, there will always be persons in sales and marketing who learn SQL because they know, okay, I can dive so deep, I can maybe get an edge for my customers and so on. But this is a rare case. The usual case is like they have a different job and we want to support them as best with the job. And this is something which I really love about reverse ETL, why I think this is just a beginning. So I just had this very simple example with the sales team, which is already pretty powerful. But I can see that in the next 2 to 3 years, we will discover a lot more use cases where we can think about, okay, we have the data, maybe we don't put it in a dashboard, but we put it directly into the hands of the teams. And this is like why I love reverse ETL. And so let me use the last 3 or 5 minutes to show you how it basically works. And I do this with a very, very quick demo. And I show you this with Census. And so I'm using Census for some time already. And so I know the tool pretty good. And they have a nice promotion at the moment. And they say, okay, you can create a synchronization. And so you can sync yourself some swag. And so you can get these great SQL t-shirts, and I'm really looking into this one. I really want to have this one, and so I will just show you how you create it, and it tells you a little bit how the whole stuff works. And so here I'm in the Census backend, and so as you can see, I already created this because I tested it before, and but let me do this as well. So this is just this is a sample set. So they have some sample set if you create a new account to really try out how this stuff works. And so I highly recommend if you sign up for Census. So first of all, they have a free trial of 14 days, and second of all, they have a very generous free plan. So it really gives you the time and the playground to get an idea how to work with these things. And these sample sets are always a great place to start because you don't have to take care about credentials and all the other stuff that you have to do when you hook up your data warehouse and so on. Which, I mean, it doesn't take that long to do it. I guess when I hooked up the last infrastructure, we had everything running within 2 and 3 hours, so it's definitely doable. But for the case of the demo and for you playing around to do this. So here we go. So in that case, so we have a source, which is a Redshift table. And so you can use just one table as a source, or you can use a query on a specific table, or I don't know, you can even write very complex queries, which I think maybe is not the best idea in that place, but you can use both. So you can either go directly to the table, take the information from the table and do the synchronization, or you just write a specific query. And so we do it now. So bear with me, I'm just doing some test data because like I love you all guys, but I don't want you to send me so much packages at my home. So I will use a fake address. And so let's call this Main Street. Or we could also call it just Test Street. But I mean, it's just like for making the example. So I use the city. I live in Denmark, so you will at least know this. And so this is the state I live, and this is the zip code. And yes, of course, my country is Denmark. And of course, yeah, our shirt style, I want to have orange SQL or orange. Yep, SQL. Here we go. And I guess unisex it is. And let's go for L. And so that's it. And so in the end, I'm sure I could now test it to see, okay, what kind of data the query is producing. And so it's a demo, so of course, like this all works. And so then in the next step, I can now, okay, I have to do it here. I can create the synchronization. And so, I haven't saved it. Okay, save model. Yep, yeah, that's true. All right, so this is saved. Thanks for the alert. And then, okay, I create the synchronization. So, okay, this is the connection, this is my source, and I want to send it to the Sync a Swag destination. So this could be also like a different destination. So this could be your CRM, this could be an advertisement platform like Google Ads. It can be also be like something like Amplitude, where you want to send some additional data to Amplitude. And so, but this time we do this, and of course, like we only create, and so there are different ways how you can sync to a destination. And so one is like you create new stuff, and this is what we do here. But you could also do mirroring. So, for example, as in our scoring example, so we have this activity score, and of course, like we mirror the value that we have in the data warehouse to HubSpot in that case. So there we would have a different option how we can update the destination. And so then we have to do the mapping. So we map the email. So we have it here. And here are the other values that we can map. And so, for example, zip code is missing. So we can quickly do this. Here we have zip code. And so this is the same what you would do. So for example, the HubSpot example, we would see here like activity score as a field within HubSpot. And so we would just map then the right column from our table or query result. And so that's it. And so we could run a test if it's working or not, but I just quickly do next. And then I could say, okay, please sync it now. So I won't run it now because I already did it yesterday when I tested out. So I don't want to send Census me, I don't know, multiple t-shirts. I mean, it would be great, but no, I don't want to do that. And so I could now create the synchronization, that's it. And so once I have created it, then I can just schedule it. So the next part would be like I can test one time, but of course it makes sense when you then just say, okay, please run this once a day, 4 times a day, every hour, I don't know, every 10 minutes, whatever works for you. And so that's it. And so you can see it's pretty easy to create a synchronization. And so I highly recommend to definitely look more into reverse ETL and the whole operational analytics space. What I can also recommend is like test one of the tools. So you saw Census here. So as I say, it's really easy to test. You can also test high touch. And what I can also recommend, and I will put also a link into the show notes. I put a link here to this because I guess you want to get this kind of t-shirt. And I will also put a link into the operational analytics Slack community where I'm also a part on. So you can meet me there and some other really great, nice people. And so, yeah, that's it. So I hope that was useful for you. And so I hope you will really give Reverse ETL a try because I think it will change your way you work with other teams. Have a great day. And don't forget, subscribe to the channel because I do a lot of like this videos in the future and you don't want to miss that. So thanks for a subscription and see you next time.